Talk ever so briefly about JFK's executive order 11110, 11,110. Is that how many executive orders he issued? Because, Jesus Christ, you get one or two executive orders. You don't get over 10,000 of them. Now, this guy, Jim Mars, in his book Crossfire, presented a theory that John F. Kennedy was trying to rein in the power of the Federal Reserve, and that forces opposed to such action may have played at least some part of the assassination. Now, Jim Mars points out the issuance of Executive Order 11110 was an effort by Kennedy to transfer power from the Federal Reserve to the United States Department of the Treasury by replacing Federal Reserve notes with silver certificates. Arthur Richard Belzer named the responsible parties in this theory as American billionaires, power brokers, and bankers working in tandem with the CIA and other sympathetic agents of the government. Critics of the theory, however, so what's the official version? The official version is June 4th, 1964, JFK issues this executive order. It amends an earlier executive order, and it delegates to the Secretary of the Treasury the President's authority to issue silver certificates under the Thomas Amendment of the Agricultural Adjustment Act as amended by the Gold Reserve Act. The order allowed the Secretary to issue silver certificates if any were needed during the transition period under President Kennedy's plan to eliminate silver certificates and to use the Federal Reserve notes. Now, the official, this is saying that JFK was issuing out silver certificates to just issue out all the silver certificates that he needs to issue, and it wasn't to, get rid of the Fed. It was actually to make the Fed stronger. So they were going to get rid of silver certificates altogether. But people are like, well, what about ours? Okay, so for the next 6 months, if you have silver certificates, or if you have silver, so what exactly is a silver certificate? A silver certificate is a version of the U.S. dollar, bills that are no longer printed or circulated in the United States. It's legal tender. It's in the form of paper currency. And so silver certificates just look like silver dollars, like dollar bills, but only with a silver tint. They use silver ink with the dollar bills. So a silver certificate is a type of former legal tender in the form of paper currency which was issued by the U.S. government beginning in 1878. Today, silver certificates can be redeemed for their face value in cash only, not in actual silver. How a silver certificate works, this is Investopedia. The silver certificate got its name because a certificate represented a stated amount of silver bullion purchased or held by an investor. Although the U.S. stopped minting silver coins in 1806, both gold and silver coins were usable as legal tender until 1861. Before the release of these silver certificates, the U.S. was on a bimetallic standard. U.S. residents often accumulated wealth in the form of silver bullion, which they were free to change into coins considered legal tender. Residents could also have coins made from gold in their possession. The 1873 Coinage Act abolished the right of individuals to have silver changed into silver coins. Western mining companies and bankers wanted the return of the two-metal system. By the late 1880s, there were many Americans who were against a fixed supply of paper currency, fearing the supply of money would run out. Western interests fanned the flames of public distrust. These critics knew that an unlimited amount of currency in circulation would lead to higher prices, which they saw as a benefit and not as inflationary. Severe depression and deflation in 1863 had drawn the lines between northeastern industrialists who favored the limitations of currency and the Midwestern and Southern farmers who saw the limiting as damaging their ability to charge more for their crops. Silver certificates were created to allow an investor to purchase silver without having to take physical possession of the commodity. So silver certificates essentially backed by silver. The first releases of the silver certificate notes were a larger size than their subsequent counterparts, which were similar in dimensions to the modern U.S. paper currency in circulation today, the Federal Reserve note. The larger certificates had denominations ranging from $1 to $1,000. The smaller size certificates were available mainly in lower denominations. 3 certificates featured the portraits of notable Americans. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and Ulysses S. Grant. Okay, so well, what do I make of this? It seems like it could go one way or the other. If you have a silver certificate, that doesn't sound like money or whatever he's trying to get rid of the Fed, but perhaps he was. He was talking about conspiracies, and there's moneyed interest and shit, so there's some sort of conspiratorial cabal in this country. And the silver certificate, if you look at the dollar, the silver certificate itself looks just like the dollar bill, only with a silver tint. And they're still out today, but you can sell your silver certificate dollars in order to get regular $1 bills or collector's items. They're still legal tender, so they would still be considered money today, but because nobody uses them, they're obsolete. You trade them out, and you get Federal Reserve notes. So, silver certificates do compete against the dollar, but it is the dollar. And so, what are we doing here? It seems like silver certificates, I think, are a great idea. I could see it possibly, taking away the power from the Fed. But it's just like Vietnam. When it comes to JFK, he said some shit about being in favor of it and some shit about being against it. He was only in there for 2 years, so you don't know exactly which way he would have gone with any of, these decisions. But this does seem like a very possibility because silver dollar, the silver certificate looks just like a U.S. dollar bill, only with the silver tint. I was shocked, actually. Just look up silver certificate, and you're like, oh, that looks like a dollar bill. That's a dollar bill right there. And so a silver certificate would compete with the Federal Reserve, but if the official version is to be believed, the whole point of issuing silver certificates was to eventually phase them out. You had 6 months to get this shit right. Now we're just going to the Federal Reserve, so I could see it going both ways. So that, sorry I didn't offer any illumination to the JFK's Executive Order 11110. This was used as, the Fed is an evil institution and fuck the Fed. That's where I got this, and they said, well, look at this executive order. So it's possible. It's also possible that it's, much ado about nothing. Anyways, John Masters, 1206, April 4th, 2020, Saturday, Southern Colorado. Peace.